Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Keep the Mic On. I am Simply Sherri. As you know, I am one of the hosts here on this platform where every week we bring you a conversation with an artist on our different platforms, on our different ideas of what we want to talk to people about. I'm not going to talk about my night because, due to scheduling, I'm hosting. So I'm going to kick it to the one, the only, the girl genius.
Hey everyone, I'm Girl Genius. Also Danielle Reed. For those who know me or don't know me, and this is the first time you see me. I don't know. First of all, thank you for tuning into the show. Glad to have you here. My week is called Let's Talk About the Book, where I get an author and talk to them about their writing, their process, their book, their product, and make sure y'all are reading things and all the things. I am usually would be this week. I'm usually first Sunday. However, I have done a swap out with Simply Sherri, and you'll see why in a couple minutes. So this month you will see me back on the third Sunday,
October 16th.
Yeah, October 16th. You will see me back here with my guest for the week. Other than that, I am going to, I'll talk about our other host who's not here at the moment. Our other host is Charity Blackwell. Her segment is called
Art
Plus
Plus
Therapy. I was having a moment. Y'all, it's been a rough week. Trust me. I just came back. If you saw last week's show, I just got back from vacation. So I'm still kind of like in the adjustment period right now. But charity segment is called Art Plus Therapy, where she talks to artists about how they use their art for, as a form of healing for themselves and others. So that is also a good week to come in and check out the show, or actually anytime, any Sunday you want is a good time to come check out the show. So I am going to stop babbling on, and I am going to pass it to our other host so she can tell you about her week. And that is one of my favorite people poets, and that would be Kaniki J.
Thank you, girl genius. I'm always the one to say that I am excited about the week. I am super duper excited because I met this young man via Busboys and Poets platform one time when he said, I'm going to be going on and do some things. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that for the suspense. Dun, dun, dun. So I am Nikki Jakarta, and I am happily serving a 3-year term as the first Black Poet Laureate of Alexandria, Virginia. This is the perfect time for you to tell your mama and them that we are live streaming and we should be on right now. I'm going to say that all of the artists that joins us volunteers their time. So, and these platforms aren't free. So if you would like to support us, you can, at the bottom of your screen is scrolling right now. You can support us financially with Cash App, Keep the Mic On, or join our Patreon. My week is called Poets and Platforms, where I interview poets who have platforms for the arts. So join us every week so you can see all of us in things. We have been doing this thing established since March 2020. So if you're just joining us, ciao, where have you been?
18 months.
18 months. So I am going
to all of our episodes since May, since we've moved to the StreamYard platform, are live on YouTube. They are still live. So feel free after you watch this one, hang around, check some other things.
Tell all your people.
Also, we also do headlines and news from our previous guests. Our guest October 2020 for my segment from Behind the Microphone was Kevin Jackson, guitarist and musician from Baltimore. He just released a new album called Elevation, available on all platforms. It actually downloaded into my Apple iTunes feed about 10 days ago. Gorgeous jazz album, gorgeous album. Kevin Jackson, music by Kevin Jackson. The new CD is called Elevation, and he just did his CD release this past Sunday. So, so I just want to let everybody know that it is out there. Yes. Are y'all ready for me? So the reason I have not told y'all about my week, because as you've heard, I am hosting tonight. And tonight I am super duper excited. I met our feature tonight. Actually, just truly in person, probably about 2 months ago. But I see your face when I said that. I just had to laugh. In person, we met about 2 months ago, but we came in contact with each other about 2 years ago. when he reached out and said, "Hey, Sherri," and also through a friend, what I got to do tour Busboys. I set it up and then promptly went on vacation, so I missed the whole tour. This was way prior to his appearance on America's Got Talent. Everyone, so our feature for this evening, as you can see, is 2020 America's Got Talent winner Brandon Leake.
Hello.
Hey, now I'm going to embarrass you and read your bio for those that don't know you who may be watching. The founder,
I said I'll take it.
The founder and CEO of Called to Move, CTM, Brandon Leake is an artistic visionary whose roots lie in the ghetto souls of Southside Stockton, California. My lips are not working. Being born and raised to a single-parent household with his mother, Carla Leake Gibson, Brandon was accustomed to the complexities of playing this game of life with decks stacked against you. However, with a strong home life and some divine intervention, Brandon made it out of his neighborhood ghetto into the college classrooms. This journey came with its many trials, from loss of integral members of his family and abusive home life. But those trials mixed with this spiritual collegiate journey would soon blossom into a beautiful poetic journey. In 2012, Brandon started Called to Move, CTM, at Simpson University with a small group of artists just trying to share their gifts and encourage others to do so, which has led its way into inspiring others through poetry all across the country. Brandon Leake released his debut album entitled In My Thoughts, which led him to traveling from Los Angeles to New York and everywhere in between for a year and a half, performing his pieces, leading spoken word poetry workshops, and keynote speaking. Hey, Brandon.
Hi.
Hi. So as we talked about before, I am going to exit stage left and let you do a poem.
Awesome. So this poem is really apt considering, we're talking about how I want America's Got Talent. This poem is called Running Out. I feel like I'm running out of time. Ever since I won AGT, I feel like the clock been ticking, and it's as if I ain't got but so long until the rug gets pulled from up underneath my feet and I'm back to my former normality. And there's nothing wrong with the past, but I've grown to know that it belongs behind me, not in front of me. It's not to be my destiny, and I guess that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of having come so far to only have come but so far, having battled for so long for the sake of this dream I thought winning would be liberating. But instead, I understand the angst of what anticipation feels like. I know what it's like to have your feet skating on thin ice above the bitter cold reality of what happens when opportunity stares you in the face and elects to pass you by, and I'm terrified. Terrified of the fall. That's why I always am afraid to journey up this high, carrying all this weight. And I know nowadays I can't tell if I'm bearing this burden due to my strength or numbness, but either way, I'm tired. Mind racing about everything standing in my way, ignoring the fact that I just did something only 14 other people in the world have ever done. It's hard to find happiness, though, when anxiety has found home in the cracks of your victories, laid a clear path for insecurity. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that happiness is fleeting, but joy is a choice. And I can't speak for tomorrow. I can't change yesterday. But as of today, in this moment, I will choose mountaintop joy, even though I'm horrified of heights.
Wow. I love that. I like that. For this piece, I like that you took your America's Got Talent journey to kind of show the other side of it.
Yeah. A lot of people's like, yo, man, it's all rainbows and sunshine. And I'm like, sure. Until you know what it's like to be on top, and you got to stay there.
Exactly. And I think that's what everybody doesn't realize, that it takes a lot of work to get as much work as it takes to get there. It takes that much work to stay there.
Yep.
I don't even think an A-list actor is coasting.
Nah, like, it's to continue to be excellent requires so much effort, because there's constantly somebody fighting for it. fighting for the opportunity, fighting for what you have. I mean, like an entire season of AGT just aired, and there's another winner for season 16 now. And it's like, cool. You know what I mean? Like, they're on talk shows. They're the talk of the town in some of these regards. And so it's like, all right, awesome. Like, how are you building off of every opportunity that you have in front of you? Which leads into a whole nother conversation that I had with another poet. Because like a lot of people, they feel like, yo, man, like I never had my shot. Like I didn't get my opportunity. And I'm like, no, I genuinely believe everybody gets their opportunity. Everybody gets their shot. It's where you prepared for it when it showed up.
And I would also say that everybody's opportunity and shot is not the same thing.
No. And people have we have a linear view of what ascension looks like.
Yes.
Everybody views ascension as bigger platform, bigger stage, more money, and all this other stuff. And it's like, I know some of the most fulfilled people who have very small platforms, but their audience, the people who they talk to, they're so engaged with who they are and what they do. You know what I mean? Like, I know somebody who has 30,000 followers. They get 20,000 likes on a photo. I'm like, do you want a million followers and only getting like 10% of them to actually engage with you, or would you rather have like 90% of a committed fan base? Because both of them are ascension, but which one fits you?
That's true. And it's true. And also the question is also, what does success truly look like for you? Because when I could probably say that in the world of international known poets, I'll use that phrase currently, not to diss any of my current friends. I love all of y'all. I'm just saying that out loud. But people would probably name you and Rudy Francisco because they've seen you on TV regularly for a period of time.
I get that. What's her name? Amanda Gorman now.
Oh, and Amanda Gorman. You're correct.
And then do you know who Rupi Kaur is?
Oh, I'm not familiar with them. No.
So Rupi Kaur, she's not a spoken word artist. She's a page poet. She actually has a special up on Amazon Prime right now, an hour-long special of her. She's reading her book, and so I'll say this to all poets who are watching. Now is the time. Like now is the time to shoot your shot. Spoken word is in so many commercials. It's in so many avenues and places now. Like poetry has not had this much effort and push into the forefront of mainstream culture ever. Now is the time to shoot the shot. So
good point. Very good point. Because I told you the conversation is just going to go where the conversation is going to go. Because I noticed at the very start of the pandemic, when everything started to move online. And I think that's really when America's Got Talent got started too. So I don't know if you've noticed or not, but there were so many people that that seemed to find their ways into the Poet Open Mic lives. Even if they I don't know,
entertaining thing during the pandemic.
Yes. So I don't know how much of it was A, everybody's trying to find some entertainment, or B, oh, well, here's poetry now. So let me see what this is. So I found that because there were just a lot of new people engaging through the different platforms, and people opening so many different platforms during the pandemic. It was just interesting to see.
The beautiful part was like I like my golden buzzer moment happened the day California shut down for COVID, right?
Okay.
But it didn't air till months later. So like all this stuff was happening, COVID shutting everything down. Because I remember when folks was like, oh yeah, we're going to get like 2 weeks off work, then everybody going to be back, and that's what it's going to be. And then, a year and a half later, people are like, oh, Jesus. But as you said, so many platforms opened up. I built so much community poetically during the course of that time. And honestly, I don't know if the poetry community would have even known I was on the show had it not been for the pandemic.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because so many people were online, it was so easy to pass the information on by hopping in people's lives and being like for instance, I hopped on
You
Busboys and
jumped,
Poets live, and I was like,
you
hey,
jumped, you hopped on my live twice, at the
like,
beginning and at the end.
I'm like, hey, just so everybody knows, I know you may not watch the show, but I'm on America's Got Talent doing spoken word, and people were like, okay, we'll see what this dude doing. And it was so easy to be able to get it from state to state in a way that it may not have ever done that much numbers if it wasn't the pandemic. Because I mean, think about it. In the inside venues, people will make an announcement, be like, oh yeah, like there's a poet on America's Got Talent, and people be like, yo, I'll check that out when I get home.
And forget.
Then forget. But now they're like, oh, let me grab my computer because I'm already at home. And so many people were able to go. I was able to garner so many people. So thank y'all, like sincerely, for like the opportunity. Because
This is wait a minute. I'm gonna make this comment that Kaniki just sent to me. She said, I only watched because my uncle said, do you know that there's a poet on AGT? So let's get into the AGT process. How did that start for you? Like, what is the beginning? What was the beginning? Not the golden buzzer moment. Everything. Let's get into what happened before that. How did that?
So 2017, I got married. I was touring before then, and I told my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to tour because I want to focus on being a husband. So I'm going to get a regular job. I want to be home. I want to have our first year of marriage be really solid. So I'm just teaching. And what happens is I see on Facebook that they're doing tryouts for America's Got Talent. And I reach out to one of my homies. And I'm like, hey, yo, we should go try out. She's like, yeah, sure. I fill out the form for her. I do everything for her. I do everything for me. Morning of, we're going to drive down to San Jose. And she's like, hey, yo, I can't make it. And so I'm like, okay, going alone. So I go down there. They say you have 90 seconds. I didn't prepare a 90-second poem. So I was like, yo, I'm just going to do as much of this 3-minute poem that I can get in 90 seconds.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, all right. And so go there, wait in the long line, do the whole thing. And the way America's Got Talent tells you you didn't make the show is you see commercials with people you tried out with on television. So I was like, all right, sweet. Didn't make it. But it was there that I learned that you don't just get to love your art form, you have to respect it. And I was like, yo, I haven't respected this thing. I've loved it enough to write it, haven't respected it enough to learn it. And so I said, all right, hey babe, I want to tour again, but I want to make an album that I'm really proud of. So I'm going to spend the next 6 months writing and getting this album together, and then I'm going to spend another 4 months recording it. So I do that, spend pretty much another year just getting myself together, and made a project called Deficiencies. Toured around the world, went to 4 different countries, went to DC and got the chance to go hit the Busboys Poet stage. Side note, the day I got the chance to go do my event with y'all was the first day I ever met my biological sister.
Oh, wow.
And so yeah, that was like a very special trip for me.
Oh, wow, that's great to hear.
And so what ends up happening is on the back of that, I learned so much, became a better writer, a better performer. I got the chance to see the art form in different states, and like how DC is distinctly different from Baltimore, how New York is different from Cali, how, even places that are like not as like, melanated or whatever, like Idaho and like Oregon, like how they're so very different in their writing and their performance. And I was like, yo, let me learn from all of you guys. So I take all that information, and my wife gets pregnant, and I'm like, cool, got to get health insurance. So we're going to teach again. And then almost the same time, just a couple years later, on Facebook, they're like, America's Got Talent auditions. I'm like, hey, I'm not touring. Let's go try out again. Try out for the show. And the producer's like, hey, yo, Brandon, wait here for a moment. And the coolest part about trying out for the show at this point was I watched everybody else perform, and there was only 2 poets who showed up. It was me and this young Black girl. And as I watched all the other performers go, he was on his phone, checking emails, doing all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh, they're not getting his attention. Like, he doesn't care what's going on with these people. And when 15 seconds into my poem, I saw him close his computer and do this.
Mm-hmm.
And look at me. And that's how I knew I made the show. And then from there, golden buzzer. From golden buzzer to the poem I thought was going to get me kicked off the show, doing my poem Pookie. Then my dad poem, and then the poem about my daughter, and then we win.
How did you hold it together as each? Because it's definitely, because I watch slams, I host slams, I rarely slam, so I know I watch the emotions as each round goes in slam, but this is kind of different in that you're not competing against like art. So how were you able to hold it together or hold yourself together to make sure that you were going as you rose through I'll just say it that way.
Yeah, honestly, the most difficult time I hit was right before the poem I did about my dad. Because what a lot of people don't know is, since this was during COVID, my family couldn't be there with me at all.
Because there was no audience. I saw that in the I'm not gonna lie, I did not watch it live because I'm very bad with when TV comes on. So
it's cool. I never watched the show until I was on it. I never watched the show till I was on it. So like, it's okay.
I have favorite TV shows. I don't know when they're on. Here they are on Hulu, and I watch them.
Yo, but that's how the world is now.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was so difficult not being around them, because my daughter was only like 4 months old when I had to go out there. And I remember doing an interview, and I just stood up during the middle of the interview and I said, I don't feel like doing this no more. Took off my microphone, walked out crying, and I went to my room and I fell asleep. And I woke up to like my producer banging on my door, which they're not allowed to be in the hotel. He was like, hey, yo, Brandon, do you need anything? Do you need to go home? Like, we know we told you couldn't go visit your family, but like, if you need to go see them, you can. And I'm like, yo, it's too late now. I can't go back. I need to memorize this poem. This poem was 5 minutes 3 days ago. It's now 3 minutes. I have to memorize this thing brand new. So like, it grew in intensity and difficulty, but it also grew so much in purpose because I was representing so much more than me. Like, I was talking to so many different poets from around the country, getting advice, talking to them about the process. And everybody was so encouraging because they're like, yo, man, you're giving spoken word a platform like we've never had before. And you're our rep right now. So like, any way we can help you, let us know. Like Black Chakra, always on the phone with him. Prentice Powell, always on the phone with him. Kat McGill, always on the phone with her. Sekou Andrews, talk to him a lot on the phone. Like
3 of the 4 of the people that he just mentioned, everyone, former discussions here on Keep the Mic On. I think you can see Sekou's and Kat's. We have to reload Black Chakras.
And so it's just one of those things where I'm like, it was hard, but I was never alone.
That's good. That's good. So you weren't, because like I always get a sense of reality TV and competition shows where you're kind of carved away from your family. So you were able to keep in touch with them at least.
Yeah, I got to like talk to them, luckily through the advent of FaceTime and whatnot. But like, I didn't see them for 2 months.
Oh, wow. So did they record? Okay. So, cause it's a lot. So is the live performance recorded and then shown? Okay. So everything is live.
Everything was live. The only thing that was pre-taped was the poem about my daughter. But the way that poem even happened is, in order to make it fair for anybody who was pre-taped, because my season was the only season that they did any type of pre-tape, what you did was you got a practice take, and then you had 2 opportunities to do whatever your act was. But you had to call it ahead of time. So it was like, hey, you did your practice run. Do you want this to be your real one, or do you want to do another practice one? And so it's like, if this is your real one, you have to claim it now. You can't claim it afterwards, after you have a good take. So
Oh.
my daughter poem, I do my practice run, I get through it clean. And they're like, okay, so next one's your real one. I was like, oh, no. The second one. And they're like, okay, why? I'm like, I'm going to fuck this up horribly right now. Drop the poem in like 4 different spots in the second run through. And I'm like, perfect. I start screaming, super happy. They're like, why are you happy? You messed up the poem. I was like, oh, because I know I'm going to have to blow this thing out the water next run. Call it, get it great. And then, America loves sympathetic poetry about Black fathers, I guess.
Oh, we love Black fathers. Don't get it twisted. We do. I think social media has us believing that that Black women hate Black men hate Black women, and that we hate Black parents. Like, I think I'm not saying there are not people out there that fall into one of those categories, but I think as a whole, I don't think that's the truth.
Same here. Most certainly true.
So you mentioned in your bio that you started Call to Move at Simpsonville College. How much prior to that had you started writing and performing?
So like, I started writing in middle school when girls are cute.
We've
So
heard
like
that
that's when I started writing. But like, I started taking it seriously in college, my freshman year, because my freshman year, my best friend Bernard Daniels, he died due to gang violence, and I just needed an outlet. So I played Division II college basketball while I was at Simpson, and I remember telling my coach, I was like, "Hey yo, I'm gonna miss practice today. I need to go to this open mic." He was like, "You're missing practice for an open mic." I was like, "It's about my best friend who passed away." He's like, "Take your time." So went out there, shared this poem, and then a week later, a poet by the name of Michael Bornay out of Long Beach came and blew my mind with how beautiful he shared his poetry. And I got the chance to talk to him. He was like, "Yeah, man, I've been like to 9 countries and I haven't paid a dime to go to anywhere." And I was like, "People pay you to go talk?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "How do I get in on that?" And so that's the 2 kind of key inception moments: cute girls and college.
I get that. That the first part of that story, women or girls, or like writing a poem for a girl, that seems to be a common thread with male poets. Not saying anything about it, just making a comment that I've heard that before.
It's for all of us dudes who couldn't sing. My God knew he couldn't bless me with no voice. I'd act up too much.
Of all the, what, there are things, I think never mind. I'm going to shut up with that. The meme that I saw that represents me, like it knew I wouldn't know how to act if I could sing.
Yep. Wouldn't know. I'd be way too much. Too many kids.
I completely understand. So let's talk about Call to Move. What are your visions and hopes for your organization?
Yeah, so the hope is to get engaged, to develop a poetry curriculum that can be adapted into schools around the entire country in 3rd, 7th, and 10th grade. 3rd grade, because in terms of 3rd grade reading level, we all know the statistics in terms of how it impacts recidivism and youth's likeliness of being able to go to prison. 7th grade, because that's the most determining factor year of whether or not you elect to drop out of high school or not, is 7th grade year. And 10th grade, because it's the year before your academically most important year on whether or not you get the chance to go to college, trade school, or graduate. And so I know poetry has the ability to do more than just engage people academically as a way of being able to engage people emotionally, morally, and mentally. And I want for spoken word to have a place in academia to where it can be all that it can be. And I think these different grade levels provide an opportunity for that. So, getting residencies in schools here locally in California to start out with, building the repertoire, building the cachet and the name, and then taking it to the state level, getting it implemented and taken there, and then going nationwide in hopefully the next 15 years.
Okay. And what do the poems that you work with your students with, do they have a particular theme, or are you just want them to put something on the paper?
We do. So I have multiple curriculums, or curricula, I should say, that I use. But the one that I particularly use currently is a dreamer's one about goal planning and setting. And so it helps students envision a future that they desire for themselves and then kind of plot out a course. And then we use different pieces of figurative language to be able to narrate these different aspects, from the steps to accomplishing it, to the roadblocks that get in the way, to the why, which is our motivation, to establishing what the healthy community that fosters this dream looks like. So it's it's a lot of those things.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's interesting, because I've worked with a couple of programs here, and while we need social justice warriors, we're getting a lot of just poems down that line. Not saying anything's wrong with that, but there's so much more.
Yeah, DEI is so high on people's priority list that I'm like, yo, I could get in on that, but also I'm like, I want them to be able to figure out who they're becoming. Like for the third grader, I don't care if you put that you want to be Batman. Like, let's figure out how the fuck you gonna make this $1 billion industry to have Bruce Wayne's money. You know what I mean?
Good point.
For the seventh grader, you know what I mean? Like the seventh grader is probably gonna be like, yo, man, like I want to be a hooper, or like I want to be like a social media influencer, or whatever it is that they choose to be. Like, cool, like let's kind of figure that out. And as the years go by, they get more realistic with the dreams. And you know, it's going to take a minute to get a third grader to 10th grade to where I get the chance to see like the full impact of the program. But it's even deeper than the dreams and the visions that they put on paper. It's the thought process of knowing, hey, yo, if I have something I care about that I want to accomplish, write it down. How do I then take the action steps to get there? What are the things that are in the way? Who will support me?
Mm-hmm.
What's my why? And then being able to take those lessons, apply them to real life outside of just the poems, and then be able to say like, oh, the creative devices are just used to make it sound pretty. The moral and lesson of it was to help me be better.
I like that. That definitely, because I think that's the one thing that a lot of people when writing poetry is, we're trying to get whatever it is we want out into the world, be it solve an issue, let you know about the issues. I'm a love poet. I write a lot of love poems, a lot of relationship poems. So, and maybe I want just more love in the world, which is a thing. What the world needs now is love. Unless
I love your love poems, though. I do.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a compliment I'm starting to get a lot lately, and I'm going, okay, because I think I'm normal. Like I'm just still regular people walking around the streets invisible until everybody knocks me around. Like, no, you're not.
Yeah, gotta learn to embrace the cape, homie.
You know, I'm good. I work real hard sometimes, trying to remember that I'm not my alter ego.
Yep.
I'm a real person too. So let's talk about your new album. What is the title?
Album is entitled Level. It's an album co-made by myself and Black Chakra.
Yes, I saw the pictures when they came out of him with you in the recording studio. I was really excited to see that. How many tracks are on the album?
There are 9 tracks. 8 tracks are like the narrative part of the album. The 9th track is a bonus feature.
Okay. What is the narrative of the album overall?
Generational healing of 2 Black men on opposite ends of the coast.
Oh, I will admit, everyone, I have not had the opportunity to listen to the new album yet. I've had an extremely busy September, and I'm just trying to get it all settled out now, I admit. But I will be listening soon. I've been looking forward to it. Where is the album available for purchase or listening or stream, whatever it is they do out here these days?
Literally anywhere that you get music. Now, here's my recommendation. Stream it if you so choose. If you're choosing to support, buy it. We get way more for our invested dollar if you purchase the album. Streaming, it's like you get like 3 cents, or no, you get like 3 cents per every like 100 stream. And so it's like a really low number, but purchasing it, we get a pretty decent amount. And the reason we made the album is because we want to win a Grammy.
I was about to, you know what? I was about to slide that in there next. Did you put this before did you include this or put it in for Grammy consideration?
Oh yeah. That's the whole reason why we put the Grammy as the cover art on the actual album.
Okay.
It's like I got asked by my boy Ferris, who like made the music and also made the cover art. He's like, what if you don't win? I'm like, it don't matter if we don't win. Like, you know, the whole point is we as a poetic industry are trying to break the norms around you know, our art form being the little brother or little sister to the rest of the artistry industry. Like, no, like we're worthy of being at the table. We've done enough. Like, we write your movies, we write your favorite R&B songs. Some of your favorite rappers are whack without us. And so like even some of your comedians are trash without us. So like give us our credit and our opportunity to have our category not be overrun by audiobooks, not be overrun by whack comedians who are trying to submit albums. So yeah, like it's
because that's the thing. Because when I'm definitely glad that we're having this conversation, because the first poet to be nominated for a Grammy in the spoken word category was Sekou Andrews.
Yep,
and that
2
just
years ago.
happened this year.
And Michelle Obama was nominated next to him, and I love Sekou. That nigga is not beating Michelle Obama in anything.
Right. Right.
So,
I agree.
Yeah, but the cool part is with having so many poets submitted this year, we have a really viable case for us to be able to have our own category next year, and audiobooks to have its own category next year.
And that's the thing. And I like that. That is the way that we're trying to go with this. It's not that we don't want the audiobooks or the people releasing comedy albums to not get nominated and have their Grammys. But if you're going to call it spoken word, it should be poets.
Yeah, I'm like, we're here. Like, it's a whole lane, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and I've even said I'm going to talk about a person that I don't like much and don't listen to their current music. But there is a video on YouTube, and I think I've talked about this before here on Keep the Mic On, of Kanye West doing one of his songs as a spoken word piece. It's one of his early songs.
On Def Poetry Jam.
On Def Poetry Jam.
Yep.
And when I heard it, and I cannot remember the name of the song, I can see the video with Stacey Dash. I cannot think of the name of the song.
All Falls Down.
Oh, thank you. All Falls Down. When I tell you, to me, it sounded better as a spoken word piece when he delivered it that night than it did as a rap song, in my opinion. This is my opinions. That's where everyone really has to see that spoken word definitely has its place. And I'm definitely glad to see, and I'm happy that I'm alive to see it definitely have its moment right now.
Yeah. And I mean, like, we even have poets who are around him, like Jay Ivy. Like, is a poet who's with Jay-Z, who's in rooms with Kanye when he was recording that song. Like is featured on some of his tracks. You know what I mean? Like, one of his writers, Sci-Hi the Prince, like, was a part of forensics when he was growing up in school. You know what I mean? So it's like, yo, poetry is the inception of a lot of art that folks don't want to give it credit for.
That is, yes. And that very true. Very true. And they definitely don't want to pay us like we're supposed to be paid all the time.
Yeah, fam.
Or treat
After
us.
when America's Got Talent, I had a college reach out to me and say, "We think that we have an event that would be great exposure for you."
Ooh.
And that's that's the day after I won.
Oh, that
So
hurt.
I'm like, "Yo, cut! I just did exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Like you found me through exposure. I'm not coming to you for
Mm-hmm.
exposure no more." So
Right. I mean, if I go to an open mic to hang out and listen and perform, that's on me. But if you call me like, yo, we want you to come out to do some things, yes, I'm going to ask, what's the budget?
factual.
Okay, so the first comment from Girl Genius question: where's the best place to purchase the album for you all to get the most money?
Oh, iTunes.
iTunes. Okay.
iTunes, super simple.
Get it on iTunes. And then she says when they're calling you for exposure, it sounds like we're calling you about your car's extended warranty. Yes, that is what we hear. It's a spam call.
It's a. Uh,
I
in
even now.
fact, in fact, shortly after I hop off of here, because I have to go do shortly I have to go do a poetic professionalism class that I'm doing with poets. I had people, non-poets, who are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're charging so much for this class," and I'm like, "Well, you pay more than what I charge for the class to get singing lessons,
Mm-hmm.
and that don't help you make no money. That theoretically help you learn how to sing good, and half the people who teach you how to sing don't sing."
And I don't understand what everybody's aversion is to investing at some level into their art or into what it is they're doing, because poetry professionalism is a thing. It is because there's so many things involved in that alone. So I applaud you for doing that.
Yeah, I'm like, building press kits, websites, understanding that we don't, like, if you submit a video, I don't want your music video submitted to me to learn whether or not you can actually perform, because
Right.
that's your best version. I want you live. Like these small tidbits of information that help you get booked.
Hold
Understand?
on. Let me throw one in. Professional photos. Invest in a professional photo shoot. Headshots. High quality resolution pictures. Because the number of flyers I have to make. And thanks you, because yours were great. Your photos that I found were great, but so many just not great photos.
Yep. Like you at the barbecue, like, is not the photo.
Or the selfies, the number of selfies. They're like, not all selfies are great.
Yeah, fam.
Okay. That is a long-standing tangent of mine. It's just one that every time I get a chance, take the professional photos. Invest the money in some professional photos. It definitely makes a difference.
Oh man.
All right. So I'm going to go into my before I go into my questions, because in our pre-conversation, there were three things we hit on these, and these two I definitely want to touch on screen. One, you made a comment about going to the Women of the World Poetry Slam and everybody being surprised that you were there because
Oh, yeah. A lot of their like favorite poets are like assholes.
and I'll say that yes, I do know some poets that are jerks or assholes. But I also know that with some of them it's a shield.
Oh, without question. And that's what I've told a lot of people. I'm like, a lot of them don't know whether or not you want what they don't know what you want when you're approaching. And
Mhm.
they get approached by a lot of people who only want from them and don't want to ever pour into.
Exactly.
And it's like one-sided relationships of like, oh, how can I use this famous poet to go up in the poetry ranks? It's
Right.
like, and folks get tired of being used, so they just start to cut people off. And it's like, yeah, I feel why people do that. And so I've learned that very quickly.
And the other thing is that as energetic and as much as we project on stage, I will say a lot of poets are introverts, a lot of artists are introverts. So we're really like, so it's really like, why are you here? Like, really, why are you here?
Yep.
The second thing that we touched on is, and you touched on a little bit here, we were talking about touring as an artist. and you were making a comment about touring in California. And I thought that was a really good discussion point that I wanted to bring to the live feed. So what you were saying is that in your area, within how many miles would you say, like how wide is the circle?
Huge. I mean, it's a couple 100 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much poetry happening in the area though, but it's just so disorganized that like you can barely tour because so much stuff is happening on simultaneous days. And if we were to just do a better job at organizing and being like, hey, yo, like, you know, you could do 5 events in San Francisco alone if everybody wasn't doing events on Tuesday and Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like,
how much of that do you think is the planning of the producer of that show, and how much of it do you think it is the venues?
I think part of it's venues because nobody wants to give spoken word the shot to have their Fridays or Saturdays.
Lord. Oh God, yes. And remember, and you know where I work.
Yep.
And as hard as it took me, I think it took me 6 months to get the Friday that I have at Busboys. Wait a minute. Okay, so I do a love and erotic poetry slam on 4th Fridays. The first time I did it, it was like right after Valentine's Day because they were looking for a Valentine's Day thing to do, and I could do it that Friday. Sold out. They made me wait another 3 months before they would let me do it again. Sold out. Yeah, so it took a year of me doing it at Busboys with sold out shows with great reviews and everybody having a good time before they would let me go monthly with it.
Yeah, and it's the fight. So like I know part of it's venue, but also I know part of it is folks are spiteful as hell in this community. People get in fights with other poets and be like, man, screw that event. I'm putting one on same time, same day, just to spite this other person. And it's like, who gives a frick about your personal quarrels? Cuz this is far bigger than you.
You just don't go. Wait a minute. You put on your event and you just don't go to that other person's event. That's how you. But you do. And actually, I don't understand poetry beef because it's just poetry.
It ain't that deep.
It ain't that deep.
It ain't that deep. And if it is that deep, then y'all don't handle it in poetry. Y'all handle it elsewhere.
Handle it outside, quiet, away from the poets.
You feel me? Like, yo, fam. Like, but anyway.
All right, yeah, well, okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and get into our From Behind the Microphone questions. These are 9 general questions that are kind of like get to know you, because Brandon is a poet too, is a person too, not just the poet that we all know from America's Got Talent. So we kind of already touched on this one. So I'm going to skip the first question, which is tell us what brought you to writing poetry. You already told me, girls. The second question is tell us the story of the first time that you were on stage performing a poem that you wrote, where it was, how you felt about it.
Yeah, I was performing a poem at college that I was asked to perform for chapel, and the poem was like 4 minutes and 7 seconds when I practiced it in my room. I was so nervous. I did it in like 2 minutes and 52 seconds. Like that's how nervously fast I blew through that poem. And so it was ridiculously crazy just how quick it went, but it was so beautiful because everybody supported me so deeply afterwards that I knew that it was something I wanted to keep doing. It was just determining how.
Okay. I get that. So at this point, you have chosen, of course, not to use a stage name. Why did you decide to go that route?
Oh, I just lazy.
I like that answer. I'll take that answer. I like that answer. Who is your favorite writer? This can be a songwriter, a poet, an author, anybody.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Ooh. What is your favorite written piece by him?
Strength to Love, a series of his sermons on love.
Oh, I love that. So, question number 5. You can have a conversation with anyone in history, living or dead. Who would you choose and why?
Would love to talk to Jesus so that way I don't have to like worry so much. But outside of Jesus, it'd probably still be Martin Luther King Jr. The one question I'd love to ask him is, actually no, I'd love to talk to Coretta Scott King. I'd love to ask her, was it worth the sacrifice?
Ooh. You know what? Now you've got me retooling this question after like 5 years that I might throw that in there. What would you ask them?
Yeah, because I mean, like, she had to sacrifice so much.
That's true.
She lost time with her husband. She lost time, like she lost her kids, lost time with their father. Not just when he died, but when he was out doing the work.
I was also thinking about how she was able to handle living on the edge of fear that something would happen to him.
Every
And
day.
Betty Shabazz the same way. Like, you're supporting his mission and you're in fear for this loved one of yours because of the times and the attitude of the times.
Factual.
Your perfect concert. 3 acts, living or dead. The concert venue is set up for you. You have the best seats in the house. Who's playing?
Michael Jackson, pure entertainment. It cracks me up that people are asking, like, is Drake bigger than Michael Jackson? I'm like, y'all evidently don't know who Michael Jackson was.
Right.
So Michael Jackson, Kendrick Lamar. Because I think they're both phenomenal artists. And then I'd probably say who's the third? I'm gonna go with the DJ Khaled of gospel music, Kirk Franklin.
Okay, I'm mad that you called him the DJ Khaled of gospel music, but I get that.
He's not in like the annoying fashion of DJ Khaled, but he just don't sing.
Right.
But every song is Kirk Franklin.
But he has his team together. He's got the right time to make it work.
So I'm like, yo, fam, like, yeah.
Tell us something about yourself that most people would not know.
I love anime.
Oh, okay. All right. I know nothing about it, so I don't even know what to ask as a follow-up to that. Do you have another creative outlet? And if not, is there something you want to learn?
Cooking.
You do cook or you want to learn?
I love cooking. And I want to learn cooking. I plan on trying out for MasterChef.
Oh, nice. Nice. Why MasterChef, I guess, is my question.
Because I don't have to be a chef to actually do it. I just have to be a home cook. And I can cook good enough as a home cook. I just don't have a lot of technical know-how. I know how to make stuff taste good. I just don't know why it tastes good.
I like that. So Danielle, I'm gonna hold that question, Girl Genius, for when you come back on screen in 2 questions. Actually, nope, in 1 question and a poem. So after this next question, I will bring you in, let you do 1 more poem, and then I will bring Girl Genius back in, and then we'll start closing this out, if that's cool with you.
That is fine.
So last
I may have to cut this short. My wife is calling me, and she texted me like 6 times. But I'll answer the question. I apologize.
No worries. Last question is, based off Inside the Extra Studio, if heaven exists, what would you want to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well done, my good and faithful servant.
So Brandon, I want to thank you for being here with us this evening. I understand you have to go. I understand that we've caught you at a busy time. I cannot wait to see you back again in the DC area. Danielle wanted to know, what's your favorite anime character?
Oh, Goku, without question, is my favorite anime character. But actually, no. Yusuke Urameshi is my favorite anime character. And if I'm gonna give you a short poem to close this out, I'll give you this one.
Okay.
This world be so busy. We like to stretch time thin, like our tolerance for patience, our ability to slow down. That's why these modern times is digitalized, created a system that's hands-free, but I'm more analog. For when it comes to my time, I prefer to be hands-on, prefer that my presence be felt more than my fingers on a keyboard, because what's the point of having the ability to be 10 places at one time when they never ask for your tithes, they just ask for your time? See, what if we no longer view time as a resource, something that we could barter to get us farther, but instead viewed it as a mirror? For we are time and it is us, and I'm tired of stretching myself thin because my tolerance for patience is wary. My inability to finally slow down. I guess what I'm saying is, I really wish I could slow myself down.
First off, I love short poems. That's my thing this year. And I do have one really, truly last question. And this one comes from Kaniki. She wanted to ask you, now that you've done America's Got Talent, do you want to build a name in in a competitive art? If not, what's next?
I want to be an actor. Like I love acting. I want to write movies and television shows. I want to, of course, continue to do poetry. Honestly, I just want to do what I'm made for. And like that shifts and changes as the years go by.
I love that answer. And again, I know you are busy and I know you have plenty of things to do. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Everyone, please, again, support Brandon. His Cash App is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. His website is at the top of the screen. I'm going to go ahead and bring Danielle in real quick. And we thank you. We salute you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sorry, I wish I could stay, but like my wife.
No, we get it. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will see everyone here back again next week with Art Plus Therapy with Charity Blackwell. Good night.
Perfect. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.